Worsening war of words over Occupy Central. Thailand's political leaders to be detained for up to 1 week. And 5 suspects identified in Thursday's terrorist attack in Urumqi.
Good evening. Debate rages over the legality of the Occupy Central movement. Police Chief Andy Jung made clear today organizers of illegal activities would not be issued a letter of no objection by the force. So what about gatherings leading up to the civil disobedience campaign? Stephanie Choi takes a closer look.
At the Legislative Council 2 days ago, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying said the government would not issue letters of no objection to those who intend to paralyze Central. Both Leung and central government officials have repeatedly stressed Occupy Central will be illegal. Commissioner of Police Andy Zhang said today the CE was simply voicing his own views, which should not put pressure on the parties involved. Zhang also stated it's obvious that the police will not issue letters of no objection to organizers of illegal events. He stressed the police will handle applications to hold rallies and protests in accordance with the law. Chan Ki-man, one of the organizers of Occupy Central, said he has applied for letters of no objection for gatherings and events leading up to Occupy Central.
They should look at each application instead of looking at who are the applicants. Occupy Central will be the last resort of our movement. We will exhaust all the legal means before we consider civil disobedience.
For activities involving civil disobedience, Chan said his group will not seek prior police approval. But he said they would do so for gatherings and rallies leading up to the movement. And while organizers of Occupy Central have not yet decided on details of the movement, they expressed hope that the government will remain impartial. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
Executive Councillor Chung Chi-kong has apologized for his recent remarks about overcrowding in the city. And he acknowledged Hong Kong may not be able to handle a further increase in mainland tourists under the individual visit scheme. Ronnie Samtani reports.
The EXCO member sparked controversy when he said recently the cause of congestion on MTR trains was due to an increase in the workforce rather than the large number of tourists. Speaking to TVB News today, Chung Chi-kong apologized and clarified that the influx of mainland visitors is only one factor.
I would say, my expression is not accurate enough. I would say the individual visit scheme actually, is one of the reasons, for the overcrowd in the underground. But that is not the only one reasons. We know our working population increased over 100,000 for the past few years. Quite a lot of the Hong Kong people shift from bus to the underground network. So actually quite a lot of reason.
Jung, who is also executive director of the One Country, Two Systems Research Institute, admitted that Hong Kong may have reached its capacity when it comes to receiving mainland tourists. He said if it's possible to cap the number of visitors, the government will do it immediately. And Jung said he believes the individual visit scheme can be fine-tuned. On concerns that Hong Kong's competitiveness is on the decline, Jung said we can learn from our Asian neighbors.
Singapore, they did very well in the capital investment. So they have a better performance in GDP per capita. So we can learn quite a lot from our friends in Singapore. In Hong Kong, I would say we are not development oriented for the past few years. We need to have a momentum to develop.
He also stressed the need to improve our education system and to invest more in innovation and technology to keep our competitive edge. Ronnie Samtani, TVB News.
Now we go to the political crisis in Thailand. The country's former prime minister and leaders of the anti-government protests are being held in detention. Military leaders say they want to give the two sides about a week to think in an effort to reach a compromise on how to move forward. Alan Buknia reports.
The Thai military seized power in a bloodless coup on Thursday, saying it wants to prevent more turmoil after neither political faction would budge on their positions. It's the second coup in Thailand in 8 years. Former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and about 24 of her political associates have been held in a secret location since giving themselves up yesterday morning. The detentions appear to be aimed at preventing any political leaders from contacting supporters to rally against the military. Still, there were sporadic demonstrations in what appear to be spontaneous shows of opposition to the military takeover, rather than a show of support for either Yingluck or the opposition. This human rights advocate says that while the military may genuinely want to restore order, he thinks they're going about it the wrong way.
What they don't understand is that by seeding so much resentment and chaos in the political scene, they're probably making it worse. They are making the situation worse. They're leading to this continual, routine political instability in Thailand. They are a part of that.
The coup has met with international concern and condemnation. The United States is suspending $3.5 million of the $10.5 million in military aid it provides to Thailand. And there could be more to come.
One of the things we're doing right now is going through all of those to call out what actually goes to Thailand. And that just is a process that takes some time.
Meanwhile, some normalcy is returning to the streets of Bangkok following months of huge and often violent demonstrations. The military has also relaxed its strict 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew, allowing shift workers and tourists to move about during that time. Alan Buknia, TVB News.
Mainland authorities have identified 5 suspects in connection with the deadly terrorist attack in Urumqi on Thursday. What's more, officials are taking aggressive steps to try to stamp out terrorism altogether.
At least 39 people were killed in the bombing in Urumqi in Xinjiang, and more than 90 others were injured. Witnesses say the assailants hurled explosives from 2 SUVs as they sped through a packed vegetable market, mowing down customers and market stalls. After investigating the case, mainland authorities identified a total of 5 suspects, 4 of which were killed carrying out the bombing, while the 5th was captured by police. Judging by their names, they all appear to be Uyghur. The police report states that at the end of 2013, the suspects formed a 5-member terrorist gang, and after choosing a target, they began making explosives to carry out their attack. It also states the 5 were influenced by religious extremism. This included taking part in illegal religious activities and watching violent terrorist video and audio materials. Because Thursday's bombing was the 2nd major attack in Urumqi in 3 weeks, China's public security minister launched a 1-year campaign aimed at fighting terrorism in Xinjiang. Guo Senquan urged both army and police forces to prepare to fight a people's war against terrorist violence. He also called on residents to expose any known terrorists. And in the capital, authorities have beefed up security at the Beijing subway system. Passengers now face checks at more stations. Anti-terrorist drills have already been held in Beijing over the past month. Authorities here in Hong Kong are also on high alert.
At the moment, the terrorist threat in Hong Kong remains at moderate level. But in view of what's happening in mainland China, obviously, we will reveal what needs to be done. And indeed, if additional measure is needed, they will be taken.
The police chief assures the public Hong Kong is prepared to handle such threats.
The United States has scored a major victory in an auto dispute with China before the World Trade Organization. The case involved China imposing penalty tariffs on the sale of $5 billion worth of American-made vehicles. The WTO panel said Beijing had acted inconsistently in imposing the anti-dumping requirements in violation of its WTO commitments. China started levying the duties back in 2011. They have since expired. The WTO does allow countries to raise import duties to offset subsidies and dumping, but in this case, they were found to be improperly imposed.
This is the third time the administration has taken China to the WTO for the misuse of these types of measures, and we've won each of these 3 disputes. It's time for China to change the practices that have led the United States and our trading partners to bring these kinds of cases.
And still ahead in our newscast, differences remain among lawmakers over ICAC's spending report. Vladimir Putin promises to respect Ukraine election results, and an all-Madrid battle for European glory in Lisbon.
Disaster can strike when you least expect it. For 3 Wednesdays, starting June 4th at 9:30 on Pearl.
下一個係邊個？冇？咁好啦，勁量鹼性電芯採用電力封存科技，發揮高達3倍電力，俾你玩多啲，換少啲電。勁量就是正能量。
唔用油都炸到好味道。
飛利浦 Air Fryer 免油鍵炸鍋，用高速空氣循環技術代替油炸，幫你減少80% 油脂負擔。創新只為令你更健康，更多選擇，更多健康美味。
Innovation and you, Philips.
The hottest dragon boat event. Join us at the Sun Life Stanley International Dragon Boat Championships. 2nd of June 2014, Stanley Main Beach. Life's brighter with your support.
Rio, a city with an allure. Whose biggest annual tourist event serves to launder money.
They're the same tickets, just one agency charges more than twice the price of another.
Wednesday, Scam City, the last episode at 9:30 on Pearl.
And welcome back. Members of a Legislative Council Select Committee looking into lavish hospitality spending by former ICAC head Timothy Tong have yet to reach a consensus on their final report. Committee Chairman Ip Kwok Kim hopes the report will be completed and submitted to LegCo before the end of the year. Stephanie Choi has more.
The Select Committee has begun putting together a report on the investigation into former ICAC Commissioner Timothy Tong's spending on duty visits, entertainment and gifts during his tenure. During a closed-door meeting this morning, Committee Chairman Ip Kwok Kim said the report will focus on Tong's receipt of gifts and that it will refer to the findings made by an independent review committee and LegCo's Public Accounts Committee earlier. He said committee members still have differences on the suggestions and conclusions made. Ip also criticized those who leaked details of a draft report to the media, saying that not only affects the committee's work, but it's also unfair to those involved in the case. He appealed to members of the committee to respect privacy regulations. Ip Kwok Kim said the legislators have yet to reach a consensus and that they will arrange for a meeting at a later date. Stephanie Choi, TV News.
The Legislative Council president has expressed reservations about suggestions to penalize lawmakers for disorderly behavior during LegCo sessions. Here's Evelina Leung.
Chaos broke out during the Chief Executive's question and answer session at LegCo on Thursday. People Power's Albert Chan hurled a bun at the CE. He and a number of other lawmakers were asked to leave the chamber, and the session was suspended. Lawmaker Wong Kwok-hing of the Federation of Trade Unions has proposed penalizing fellow legislators who disrupt LegCo meetings. He said LegCo rules should be amended to prevent similar incidents from happening again. Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong legislator Gary Chan said deducting lawmakers' salary can be considered, but he believes the most effective punishment is to bar them from returning to the meeting. However, Leung Kwok-hung of the League of Social Democrats disagrees. The public supports our actions. We are simply fighting for our rights in this unfair society, he said. The LegCo president also has reservations about penalizing lawmakers who commit disorderly acts.